Welcome back to another episode of the Second Look Sports Show. If you're watching on YouTube, Brandon looks a little different here. We got Alex Mandarino, we have Justin Arnberg, but today filling in for Brandon, we have Cristian Ceniti from the Second Look Hockey Show, called up from. Well, no, really, you know what? He's making his.
I'm on.
He's
loan.
coming
I'm
down
on
to
loan.
the. He's coming down to the AHL. Realistically, the way these shows work.
No.
He's filling in. No, he's joining us today to talk basically all of the exciting things that we've watched over the past couple of days, plus some news and notes. So, Cristian, we're pumped to have you join us. Different dynamic today.
Thank you, fellas.
You got it. I'm gonna immediately go to a take that Justin and I had about a month ago, and Brandon held firm, and I think he's happy he did. Justin and I had this take that, you know what, the NBA playoffs, not exciting. We don't love it. And it was the first round. It was true. It was the first round, and rightfully so. I agree. I think it was pretty boring. You got some pretty quick series, just not a lot of energy. A couple of series here and there were exciting, but it didn't really hold a candle to the NHL at the time. We watched what happened last night. Indiana in OKC, an absolute hell breaks loose. And that might be one of the most entertaining basketball games I've watched in a number of years. We can dive in, but Justin, I want to give you a rebuttal before I go into this about the entertainment level.
I just want to say that we did say that the NBA playoffs were boring and that they weren't as exciting as the NHL. And I'm still holding true to that. Like, that is 100% true. Now, I did say, let's just fast forward to the finals at the time. So technically, I was looking forward to the finals. I just wasn't looking forward to rounds 2 and 3, which rounds 2 and 3 were very impressive. We got Dallas and Denver and OKC, and that series was all-time electric.
Both Pacers series.
Yeah.
Both Pacers series. Knicks, Celtics in round 2. So definitely wrong on the NBA front for rounds 2 and 3. But yeah, last night, we'll get into it. Amazing. It's just absolute cinema. How can you draw it up any better for game 1?
You kind of expected this. The way the game played out, you expected for 99.9% of that game to be played out likely the way that it was. At least a lot of the media members, fans, the way they were predicting games. But no one really decided. It's like when you're watching a horse race, right? You got all the horses racing. Let's say you're watching the Kentucky Derby, and that one horse speeds through into the camera shot and completely takes the race by a nose. It's unbelievable the way that played out. Indiana 111, OKC 110, and Tyrese Haliburton does it again. I don't know how this guy continues to show up in these moments, but he has to be, if not top 3, top 5 clutch players in the NBA. I just don't know where we want to take it right away, fellas. Cristian, we'll give you some time to kind of dive into this real quick, too. You watched the game last night. You were commenting on it. What did you kind of see, especially near the end, and how did you think that played out, especially for Indiana?
I think you encapsulated it very well, just like the viewing experience, because, like you said, just not only me watching it, I'm like, okay, this is about going to script. I mean, Indiana had to settle into the game. Haliburton said as much after 9 turnovers in the first quarter, just a little bit of unforced errors. It wasn't even total OKC defense that we've heard about that was really forcing these turnovers. It was just a little bit of nerves from Indiana. Yeah. But you're right that I felt it from the broadcast that they were commentating on the game as if this is going to plan. There's really nothing crazy to see here until all of a sudden there was. I think it was just a lot of. I think when you start to be like, "Oh my God, could this really happen?" Is Siakam makes the block on SGA with just over a minute left. Then he goes back, has the putback. He's holding the ball as it goes out of play. They review it to see who's getting possession. OKC has possession. SGA has the ball in his hand, and he can't get. I think he goes for his little mid-range shot. Doesn't sink. And yeah, I mean, from that point forward, it just felt like Haliburton is just I don't even it's not like he's got ice in his veins in a sense, because I watched back that play and it's the Pacers really put their name to use. The pace that he plays with on that last play, it is just snap, snap, snap. All of a sudden the game is basically over. I couldn't believe, I came in our chat and I said, I do not believe what I just saw. Yeah. It didn't even compute. Great game. Great game.
once Haliburton like got the ball though, like it just like it was like, here we go again, like the meme that everyone loves to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like once Haliburton got the ball in his hand, like you knew it was going in the basket. Like there was no question about it. It was just a matter of whether or not it was going to be a buzzer beater or there was going to be like a little bit of time left on the clock, and there was literally, like they said on the broadcast, you had no time to like catch and shoot. You literally just had to huck it as soon as you caught the ball. But like to go back to your original, or like to the first half, Cristian, like they had 19 turnovers in the first half. Usually,
it actually ended up being 20. It actually ended up being 20, Judd. I know the NBA changed it to 20, but it's still crazy numbers.
Yeah.
20 turnovers in the first half. I'm pretty sure their season average in a game was 12.
Yeah.
So talk about the nerves. Like we saw that, but then even like you said, like OKC's defense wasn't like that great in the first quarter. I felt in the second quarter it was a defensive clinic. Like it was just like Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, like SGA, like it was everyone on the team was playing terrific defense. And by halftime, it just was like, yeah, this series is over in 4 or 5. Like there's no chance. And then like the Pacers just do what they've been doing all playoffs long. They literally just keep you in, reach. 10 points, 15 points. They were down by 15 points in the fourth quarter again to last night. And they just like they basically stay around long enough for you not to kill them, and then they kill you. Like that's their motto. Like they just hang around.
Mm-hmm.
They just simply are like, yeah, we're just playing okay, and then like they kick it into high gear, and like you said, their pace turns it up a notch as well. And yeah, like I don't know. It's just that was like some of the best basketball I've watched, though. Like truly was. And
I totally agree.
The thing was, as well, SGA played phenomenal. Like
oh my God, yeah,
had a great game. Lou Dort had a great game. Although I do feel like game 2, it's gonna be like just all hell breaks loose.
Yeah,
like, OKC is about to drop 150 points on them, and they're going to give them 70. Like that's what it feels like after, because like for OKC, it's like we just got embarrassed. Like we
dude, within if it 0.3 seconds on the clock to try and get that game back for OKC, I think it took 0.3 seconds for SGA to put his mind to game 2 after the buzzer. Like he's already like, oh my God, you're putting me to the test. He's going to answer it. I 100% believe that. But man, yeah, just the game for what it was. I purposely didn't look up stats because Mando promised to bring the goods. Can I hear some of these?
I got a couple. Now, these are just read out, like, for the most part. They were just unbelievable. I mean, some are just specifically Tyrese Haliburton. 5th career game-tying or game-winning field goal with 5 seconds left. He's 25 years old. Like, it's unbelievable to see something like that. It's his 4th game winner this postseason. I'm just trying to go through some of the specifics that he had. So the Pacers going into this game, they already owned an NBA record 3 comebacks in this postseason in which they trailed by 7 or more points in the final minute. So imagine being down by 7 or more with 1 minute left and going, you know what? Doesn't matter. There is no lead that's too big to kind of dominate this team, which is unreal. Down by 15 in the quarter. I'm just trying to think of where all these stats were. I had a couple of good ones, but they're all over the board.
There's one that I'm sorry, man. That was just,
no,
you're
really
good. Excited.
I'm
going to give you something here, and this isn't fact checked, but I remember seeing it in the conference finals. So you're talking about the Pacers coming in with 3 comebacks going into this game. I believe the other team, the Knicks, who they played in the conference finals, had 2. And I'm pretty sure no other team in like NBA history has more than 1 in that fashion. Yeah. Like just it's comebacks have been probably the story of this entire playoff. So obviously from the East, but
they've also gone into the game with 4 comebacks of 17 plus points already before this game even started.
Absurd. And I'm gonna go on because I don't remember specifically, but this one was in the 4th quarter that they were down 17. Like it's one thing to be down 17, going into halftime and you make your comeback. No, this was late. This was fairly late.
Yeah,
It was late.
They always do this. And like the one stat that you said is very interesting to me is like you talk about clutch players, like maybe like he is the most clutch player. I don't know, because Jalen Brunson still to me is pretty darn clutch as well.
Yeah.
But listen, 5 clutch field goals in his career already, and he's tied with Michael Jordan, and then he's like LeBron leads the
I think he's got 8.
NBA history with 8. Like what? That's friggin' ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
what?
It's not even halfway through his career.
Like he's what, 25?
It's 25.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous how much or like how good Tyrese Haliburton, and like 3 of those shots are in this run.
The
Like,
playoffs,
they're in this playoffs. Like it is insanity what this guy's doing. It's just I don't know. Like
It's crazy to me that some people, I think this argument still exists. People just still don't believe in clutch as a thing. They brush it off as clutch is not a thing. It's just it's the same part of the game as the rest of it, which that blows my mind. But I think what makes me realize how clutch that Tyrese Haliburton was, specifically last night, is he had 14 points. Like he was, it was an off night. It was not a crazy night.
And Richard
And he
Jefferson
still.
had a good line, man. Did you guys?
What did he say?
No.
Your best player can't have tour dates as his field goal.
Damn.
For the
Damn.
It was
yes, he can. I'll tell you that.
I like the line. I really like.
It's a great line. Yeah.
It was really good, and
See, this is the thing though, because we had a line like that. When was it that Kenny Smith said Tibbs wouldn't play 9 players in a baseball game, and then literally in a game where Tibbs had 9 players had already entered that game when Kenny said that at halftime. So listen, Richard, it's a nice line. On that night, it wasn't true. You sure can have your best player with a tour date.
So like the one thing that like we're gonna switch it up here, but like the one thing I have to say is like I'm gonna be honest. Like I went into this series, OKC is gonna win in 5, and it's gonna. I was like I'm gonna watch it because I'm a sports fan, and the ratings were gonna be down because it's 2 smaller markets, right? It's just simple math there. But I feel like everyone was sleeping on like how good the series might be, in the sense of like it's gonna be entertaining no matter what. Like you got a gritty team in Indiana that's never gonna give up. You got the best defensive team in the NBA. You have the MVP. Listen, like this series was set up to be fun. It was set up to be good, and everyone just kind of like already had like it written off. Like OKC's won the title in 5 games, 4 games. Like I did as well, but like I thought it was gonna be entertaining. But like I don't know, it just felt like everyone was already crapping on the ratings before it even like the game was played. Like they're like, oh, the ratings are going to be down here. There's just no chance that this NBA Finals is going to be fun, big, or anything like that. Did you guys feel that way?
Well, I kind of came into this like not really with a dog in the fight watching the series. Now, I like these kind of matchups. I don't like watching, let's say, the Celtics go up against Denver. Like Denver might be a different story, but you know, your powerhouse teams, the Golden State Warriors, you want to see new teams every year. You want to see some fresh blood. OKC is a great young team, and they might be a dominant team for a long time. But I went into this series with no dog in the fight. There's 2 Canadians on both teams, so either way, they're going to get 2 Canadians with their new set of rings this year, one way or the other, which is exciting for a Canadian myself. But watching this game, I was kind of like, okay, it'd be cool to see OKC dominate. I don't love, dynasties. We had dynasty talk before. I don't love watching teams win year over year, but it would be cool to see this team get one. And the way the Pacers came out, the members they have on their team, the way they play, and we made these jokes and, the pun of the fact that they are setting the pace. They're living up to their namesake. Yeah. Cristian, you brought this up earlier. Rick Carlisle, I heard an interview before the game that basically said like he likes to bring an identity to his team that fits the city that he plays in or that he coaches in. I think he's got his coaching start in Detroit. And you mentioned now that's sort of a hardworking city, obviously automotive city. And so we had those Ben Wallace teams, the Chauncey Billups back in the early 2000s, and like a really rugged squad who got it done. And this team is a little bit more like they set the tone, they set the pace. They're more fun to watch. They're fast. They're aggressive. Like Pascal Siakam, I miss that guy. after watching this game. I'll tell you that for free. He had one baseline drive from like half court against 4 guys. Nice little layup. Like, this guy's an absolute monster.
He's one of the most under-talked about, or I wouldn't say under-talked.
It's funny hearing the commentators be like, wow, look at the partner that this guy has become, like, second option. It's like, hey, brother, we've known. Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think it's
welcome
evident
to the club. You're a little late.
Dude, maybe come down from your high horse there and maybe take a look at the true north and see what he did in 2019. Because he was a piece of that run. But my God, like, he's developed into a number 2 option, I think you'd say, on that Indiana Pacers team.
He was number 3 option, I would feel like, on the championship winning team.
For the Raptors?
Behind
you can argue, right?
And Kawhi.
You could argue for sure that was kind of the way it went.
You look at that team. I'm sorry to take this off.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You look at that Raptors team now. It's like you could have had like a friggin' 5-year run, like we're predicting the OKC Thunder to have, because that team was absolutely loaded.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. So that team. It's funny you bring that up. I saw this yesterday. ESPN put out a ranking of the. All of the NBA championship teams since 2000. So we got 25 teams. Where did the Raptors land on ESPN's list?
Bottom 3rd.
Yeah, 19th.
Yeah.
19th out of 25 for good old ESPN. So, I didn't spend all the time going through every single team and saying, okay, where would I put the Raptors? But I looked at that and I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. Just a little bit.
The only thing I can say, like, that would, like, I guess defend ESPN, but like also just like the Raptors probably weren't, like, they obviously weren't at their prime. Like, a lot of their players still, like, now we could look at them and say, oh my gosh, like, if their team was still together, like, they'd be insane. But at that time, like, they weren't where they are today. Like, Norman Powell.
No, it was a mix of veterans and the young guys. You don't have OG in there because he's got appendicitis, whatever. And I think part of it too, I think if you're not in Toronto, I think the reason that you'd look a little bit further down on that team is just because of the Golden State injuries. Like, there is that excuse that people will use against the Raptors. So it sucks that we never got to see that team against another fully healthy opponent, because had they run it back, maybe you see that, but yeah, that's the excuse.
Yeah, well, you missed, like, they kind of broke down, you said it earlier, the core of the Pascal, the OG, and the Fred. Like, that they could have ran with that squad for another couple of years. You see how those players are dominating on their 3 respective teams now, and one of them is obviously still in the finals here. So, unfortunate to see how it played out in Toronto, but there's a new regime. And we can kind of respect the guys that are going head-to-head, like Indiana with Pascal, and then OG with the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Final. I'm looking at this box score from Game 1 of the Finals, and all the starters are in the teens. Like, I think you have Siakam with 19 leading the team, and then obviously
second is Obi Toppin, man.
Obi Toppin, 5 threes from the bench.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I don't know if you guys saw
points.
In the middle of the year, I came across an Obi Toppin video. I think the Pacers had put it out, where it's like, Obi Toppin spends a day as a brain surgeon. It's a fantastic video. Yeah, it's like, take your basketball player to work day, basically. And he was actually good. Like, they were like, all right, this is how we practice, like, being precise at, like, needling stuff with, like, tweezers or whatever. And it's like this really long tube, and you have to, like, it was like playing what's the game? It's like playing Operation, okay? So he's there literally playing Operation. It'll buzz if you touch anything. And he was actually, like, really good. Like, the brain surgeon was kind of impressed. Ever since I saw that video, I had a soft spot for Obi Toppin. So, yeah, I was watching that last night. I was like, let's go. Dude, I'm going to have to say this video. It's a pretty cool video, man.
I have to check it out. Yeah, he didn't have a great start, but he picked it up from the bench. Like, I think if Indiana has a chance to kind of actually take this series, whether they, I think OKC comes out absolutely dominant in Game 2. Like, I think everyone has to think that, but an entertaining Game 1. I think the bench players are going to have to continue to kind of produce for the Pacers. Benedict Mathurin didn't really do much till the end last night. I think he's a key piece for that team if they're going to continue on this run. But they play as a group. They play as a squad. OKC does the same, especially defensively. But the Pacers just were like you said, we're just going to hang out until the last 0.3 seconds. And they're just never away until they're away. So,
and hang out for some teams is like we need to be within single digits, but
yeah,
for the Pacers, like hanging out is just like if there's even a 1% chance, we're good. We're good with that. That's enough.
Unreal. Yeah,
I will say I chose OKC in 6 was my pre-series prediction.
Yeah,
I'll stick to that, but yeah, I think the Pacers. Man, just how much has the line moved? Because going into this series, it was OKC minus 700.
Yeah.
Pacers plus 450. Man, yeah.
I wonder I wonder how much it's actually moved. I mean, it was such a tight game, right? So, like, I'd be curious to see. We could always check this, but we're gonna move on to hockey.
Yeah.
I think it's already lived up to what little hype it had, though, this series. Like, I was
1,000%.
excited, right? Like, it's cool to see 2 new teams for the most part, but it's already there. Unreal game 1.
I think Adam Silver said it pretty well, where he's like, he was on ESPN. He said if it was Steelers versus Patriots, no one would be talking about Pittsburgh as a small market, which it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so true. You have to start somewhere. You have to.
Yeah.
So this is not sponsored by DraftKings, but we're gonna use DraftKings. Okay.
This can be sponsored.
Yeah.
This can be. We'd love you to sponsor this episode. We'd love you to sponsor us every single time. We would promote the crap out of your thing. Okay. Anyway, OKC. I'll read it for you like I'm getting sponsored. Go on DraftKings and look at OKC to take the NBA championship right now at minus 300. The line has moved from minus 700 to minus 300, and the Pacers are dogs at plus 245. Get your ticket in right now on the Indiana Pacers if you want to. That's DraftKings, sponsored by JK. We aren't sponsored by, but we'd love you to sponsor by. Let's clip that.
Yeah. Maybe one day. Clip that. That's our social clip going out.
It doesn't even go public. It's just in an email we send it to DraftKings. That's
exactly. Yeah. It's just we're gonna start content farming our own stuff just for sponsorship. Okay. I can't wait for Sunday, 8:00 Eastern, Game 2. Book it. We'll have the coverage for you as soon as possible. Right off the backs, this Game 1 in the NBA of an unbelievable NHL Game 1. On Wednesday evening. Now, I'm an older member of the podcast, so I got to tell you boys, I was very excited that the game ended with 30 seconds left in the first overtime, 11:45 Eastern. Before we get to it, right? Are these 8:00 starts ridiculous?
No,
I understand for nationally. I understand. Nationally, they have to. It's in Edmonton. You don't want a 5:00, or I guess it would be 6, but you have a 6:00 start for an 8 p.m. start in Edmonton. You don't want a 5:00 start in Edmonton for 7 p.m. Eastern. I understand the reasoning. I don't need like that explanation because I do get it, but I hate it. I'll just say I don't like it. I would rather a 7:30.
I'm pretty sure it's a 3-hour time difference.
No, BC's 3 hours, but it's 2 hours for Mountain.
Yeah, they're Mountain. So I will say
play at 8:00 on Saturday night because their games usually start at 10.
10:30. Yeah. I think because, it's there's not a lot of those 9:30, 9:00 starts in the NHL. It's rare.
Yeah. I will say, since we've entered this industry, sleep schedules for me don't exist. You guys know I get in my naps. I definitely I'm a frequent napper, and so that'll compensate for it. But yeah, me and Seth Jarvis, we have a thing or two in common. Not NHL players, we don't have that in common, but naps. Yeah. But yeah, like since entering this industry, sleep schedule goes all over the place. I'm a little indifferent at this point. I find that I can kind of go to bed whenever and wake up whenever. It really doesn't matter. So I wouldn't be lying if I said I kind of wanted some double OT because it would just make it more of a classic game. It was already a classic. I told Judd, I think I said it was chicken noodle soup for the hockey soul. That's what that game was. We talked about it with the NBA. Same idea in the NHL.
Especially just after a week off.
Just a great game. Oh my God. Right back into it. No warm-up period needed. Great stuff.
I was happy that that it got over in the first overtime, but I would have stayed up for every single overtime. Like it was not. There's no chance. But at the same time,
I totally get it though, man. I get it.
No. It's. I was just getting group texts from all my friends being like, "Oh my, what a game!" But thank God, in incredible fashion too. Like
if you're older, and especially people that's not in the sports industry, you're paying for it on the next day. Like, you're just hurting
Dude.
at work.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I mean, so triple overtime tonight. I mean, listen, a lot of us work weekends too, but Friday night,
I
let's
don't care.
stay up all night, right? Like, yeah.
Like I worked like I'm doing some work. Like I worked the next day at 9:00. So what, the Thursday morning? That's why. If it was no work, I'm up. I'm with you guys. Listen, it's the more like, okay, like it is only Thursday. There's still 2 days left in the week. I got to grind this out while thinking about Leon Draisaitl somehow. I don't know how I'm going to be able to pull that off.
How was your energy levels after the goal, though, right? Because, I maybe feeling a little sleepy watching the overtime, and then the game ends, and it's probably tough to go to sleep. You're probably wired.
I was horizontal when Thomas Noshik shoots the puck out. I'm like, okay, you know what? This changes things. So I got up, got vertical, and I'm like, okay, I stood up. I'm like, you have to be kidding. Like, I wasn't surprised because Edmonton has no longer given me the reason to be surprised anymore based on their play and the way that they can get the job done. But you rewatch the play and the intricate work that entire line does to get that goal in the back of the net.
Beautiful.
Corey Perry at 40 years old making that dish to Connor McDavid. And who does Connor McDavid point to immediately after the goal?
Yeah.
Not Draisaitl, but my boy Corey. So that was an incredible way to end the game. So I was immediately dialed in. I did get to bed relatively soon, but it was on my mind for that entire first 30 minutes going to sleep. I don't know what you guys thought about that ending.
The ending was fantastic. The whole game was fantastic. It's crazy what a healthy Leon Draisaitl can do. He scores the opening goal of the series 66 seconds in, puts home the overtime winner. I mean, I'm not going to say both were, because obviously both goals were not like patented.
The first one's like just off of bounce, whatever. But
like,
I mean,
it's not like a perfect shot, like whatever. Like, he doesn't need to be his best. The second one, not like he gets gifted a great opportunity again, but more like, I would say more skill in that shot. Like, it definitely
100%.
Bob's in the way in that one. But overall, like, just his impact on the ice, it wasn't just the goals. Like, Leon Draisaitl was actually like visible in that first game. Like, last year, like I said, like, he was not visible because of the rib injury and the hand injury that he had. It was a total, turn of events. And then it just felt like the one thing that I thought was going to be the weakness, it wasn't even the goaltending that I thought was going to be the weakness. I was like, the defense. I don't know if the defense is going to hold up. Listen, that defensive core is just, it's playing unreal right now. Like, they play so well together. And, I mean, if you talk about stats, Mando, they only had one player play over 30 minutes in that game, and it went basically 4 periods. Florida had 3 or 4 defensemen play over 30 minutes. And I don't know if it's because, like, Knobloch's managing the minutes more, like he's, like, looking at it. Or
I think that he trusts all of them, man.
I was going
to say, trust them.
I think it's just
he should.
To their depth. Like, their depth has been unreal in the playoffs. They trust the fourth line to go out there and do their job. They trust Klingberg and Wallman to go out there and do their job. Like,
crazy that's a pairing that's so successful.
Both offensive defensemen. That's what Wallman is successful on this team. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I was completely wrong. Hand up on that one. But this team just we're talking about this in a total different way if they don't win game 1, but like they exercised a lot of demons by getting that first one out of the way, especially at home. And now they have a series lead for the first time since 1990. It's so much different than trailing a series. That's the thing. Like, in a Stanley Cup playoff or a Stanley Cup final, I should say.
On home ice too, it'd be so deflating to lose that game 1, right? Especially when you are making the comeback. They carried a lot of play in points in the game. Just
period, overtime.
So much more important for them than like Florida's been here, done that for the past 2 years. But for Edmonton, like this one, it just meant more. And I love the Stuart Skinner post game where it's like, I had googly eyes last year seeing that cup, and this year's just I'm back.
There.
I'm back. We got to get to work. I said this on our last hockey pod, but yeah, like call me gullible. I'm soaking up what McDavid and Skinner have been saying, just about like the emotion and just they are being businesslike. They understand like the gravity of the situation, but also understand how to downplay it in a sense. Like this is a job not done. Yeah, like the confidence that those guys are oozing right now, we have not seen that. Not even last year, we have not seen that.
We called. I think it was on Thursday, and after the game, and like we talked for like 5 minutes, and then you brought this thing up about McDavid and his emotion. And like,
after Draisaitl's game winner, he lets out like a lion roar.
Like the most emotion we've seen out in the whole playoffs, basically. And like Cristian was like, "You think someone's gonna be like, that's too much out of him? Like that's too much." And that's
like, relax yourself. It's game one. I think it was like I said, a lot of emotion, but measured in the sense that to me that wasn't like a yes, let's go, like, and then you just calm down after that. It was like, there's one, we need 3 more. Like I think they're still locked in.
Yeah, like that was like we won 1 game. Okay, 5 seconds later. All right, back to business. That's only 1. We need 3 more. Like it's not over yet, boys. Like, So like the whole, like, I don't know. When I watched the game, I really got a sense that both teams like had a lot of chances. Like there was like it was back and forth. It wasn't just like one team's dominating another team. Yes, Edmonton probably in the end deserved that game. They probably played a little bit better overall and had more puck possession. But like when I watched it, like you can't tell me that there wasn't back and forth chances, and the both like Edmonton's forecheck and Florida's forecheck really was effective in that game. I thought like they both played really well, and I thought for the most part, I thought Florida did a great job of shutting down McDavid and Draisaitl when they played together. And their power play was 0 for 3 on the night up until they scored the overtime winner. So, like, Florida for the most part did a good job. They just didn't do a good job long enough to keep Edmonton off the score sheet one more time.
I want to touch on the emotion part too, because I recognize that pretty early. Like Rodgers' place was the loudest I've seen it in a long time, and it's
already a really loud place,
right?
Yeah.
Like
Game 6 last year, though. Game 6 was like insane.
Listening to I should have gotten his name, but maybe you guys know it. The in arena like stadium, not the host, but the anthem singer. The one that does the first.
I think his name's Rob, but I don't remember his last name. Yeah,
Robbie, our boy Rob. He is obviously he's in the audience, like he's in the stands singing for the first 4 or 5 verses, and then he lets the crowd sing, and it's an awesome tradition in sports. I love that specifically from Edmonton. I don't know how much we've seen that from other teams at any point in any.
Not really.
In any sport. I love it. I think it was great. And so that sets the tone, and Leon Draisaitl gets on the board early, and I watched him to see any reaction that he would give. And, he gave a little, I scored, but it was like, that's one. Like, we need multiple in order to get by this team, and Bobrovsky doesn't surrender a lot of goals in the first place. So to be able to get one is dominant. And I think his reaction ended up becoming the right one because they go down 3-1. So he's not going, okay, well, now we're fine. We got to continue putting numbers on the board. And a lot of it was from like unlikely guys. Your Arvidssons, that goal probably shouldn't have gone in. I'm sure Bob's still upset that he didn't have that one. Yeah. And then Matthias Ekholm, essentially all on the backs of McDavid and a Gretzky assist. You got to give Gretzky assist.
God,
calling that play basically 100% accurate. McDavid's got to go behind the net. He's got to feed someone in front.
Even the entry though, like he gets over the red line, and there's 3 Florida Panthers closing in on him, and he finds a way to enter the zone, dish the puck, get it back, and then that sauce. Because it's one thing to have a sauce with pace on it, not another pace reference here, but like that was a slow motion sauce. You have to give it enough time for Ekholm to skate into it. It was Chef's kiss,
I
McDavid.
I
Oh
would
my
love to watch
God.
that. I would love to watch that in slow motion because it kind of just skips by the whole pile of Panthers and
Yeah.
Oilers, and it's like everyone just kind of does the whole "Where's that going?" and
Yeah.
Matthias Ekholm comes in like a train, and that place. I'm surprised there was still a roof after that thing goes in.
Yeah.
It went ballistic, and they just Edmonton just you know what? We watched the Indiana Pacers of the NHL last night or 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
I should say, because they had to come back. They did it with a lot more time. Yes, they won in overtime. There wasn't 0.3 seconds on the clock, but they went, you know what? We're not out of it.
It wasn't that far off, only 30 seconds. And I mean,
that's true.
You want to talk
There's still
about
a 3.
sudden? I mean, overtime, sudden death. It was pretty sudden in both series. Yeah.
I'll give it to you. You know what? We'll take it back, and there's a lot more comparisons that deserve to be credited for that. I just love the way Edmonton didn't give up. You know, like last year, you would probably see that, and they would get deflated. They haven't been there before. They probably would have gotten outskated, and especially the way the Florida Panthers treat any game like it's a home game. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and I didn't really think about it till watching this game. It just home advantage, especially in Canada, I think is massive. You know, we don't this day and age. I don't know how much home advantages really play into matchups and series and things like that. In this final, I think it's really going to come in handy for the Oilers. But Florida just doesn't care, and they play like they're at home every single game. They're comfortable anywhere, and the guys that probably caused the most discomfort for the other teams were the ones that put up all 3 goals. So it just proves that this team's never out of it.
Matthew Tkachuk said like they knew that they were going to have to go on the road in every single series, especially after everyone who won in the first round for the rest of the playoffs. So like they kind of he said like they made their own bed in the regular season, so they had to live in it, and they're comfortable playing on the road. Like it's been who they've been the whole playoffs. Like it's not anything different. So yeah, I mean, even if they walk away out of here with a split, you still take home ice advantage away, right? Like you're still walking away. Now, I would assume it's gonna be a split. Let's talk about game 2 for a second before we move off. Like game 2 goes tonight in Edmonton again. I would assume it's gonna be a split, but if Edmonton can somehow pull off a 2-0 series lead going back to Florida, like you got to feel super confident with this team, even if they go and give up 2 losses in Florida like Toronto did. I would still feel a lot more confident. Yeah. Move your heads. I would still feel a lot more confident in Edmonton coming back in game 5 than I would Toronto, just because like you know that like that home ice advantage is a home ice advantage in the first place. You know that Connor McDavid is not Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews, and so like I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like tonight can be pretty telling for this series on how it's going to go in terms of it's just going to be a home dominant series. It feels like.
No, I agree. I would 100% have more confidence in the Oilers than the Leafs, and part of that is because of what I saw in Game 1. That style of play, as much as it was like both teams showed up, but that was more of an Edmonton playbook than it was a Florida Panthers game. I think the Florida Panthers had to adapt more to the Oilers than vice versa. So I took the Oilers in 5 in this series because I really just believe in the
5.
I took the Oilers in 5. Yes, I've got Oilers in 5. I doubted the Oilers in round 1. I doubted the Oilers in round 2. I doubted the Oilers in round 3. Fool me 3 times, Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot if you fool me the 4th. So give me the Oilers in 5. I still feel really good about that. I do think they're gonna take a 2-0 lead here. I think the way that they play is very repeatable this year. I don't think it's an aberration what we saw in game 1, just in terms of the pace of play. As long as they're playing that type of game, the Oilers are in it. If we see a suffocating defense, not many chances, that lends itself way better to Florida. But I just don't see how Florida can contain how the Oilers play. I think the Florida Panthers, if they're going to beat the Edmonton Oilers, it's like that conversation we had about Oilers and Kings in round 1. And I mean, the Kings even did win in an Oilers way once in the series, but I think Florida's going to have to kind of do that here to win the Cup again. So, yeah, give me the Oilers 2-0 series lead tonight.
I'm so much in agreement with that, Cristian. I think momentum doesn't carry over game to game, at least in the NHL. A lot of guys have commented on that, but I think in this particular case, it does. I just think the way that they played, it's like a rolling style. They hit you in waves. And obviously, when you have the Connor McDavids and Leon Draisaitl's of the world, you never count a team out. But it's really the depth that has gotten this team and willed them towards success this year. Stuart Skinner, first of all, just had to make the saves that he had to make. I don't think he was his best, right? Yeah, he was good. He wasn't at his best.
He was Stuart Skinner good.
Right? He was Stuart Skinner good. And that will get the job done if you have the team in front of him, the defense in front of him playing it the way that they are. I know, Justin, you commented on how you weren't aware that Jake Wallman kind of had this game in his bag. Like, I watched him a bit in San Jose. I wouldn't say I thought to this level, the way he's playing, but I knew that he had like another gear. I mean, offensively, he's great. He's responsible, and he's not like the best defensive defenseman, but I think in that system, man, he just, with Paul Coffey on there, he's just ready.
Yeah. It's the cliche that offense is your best defense. That's what that pairing is, right? If the puck isn't in your zone much, and if you can make a fantastic breakout pass, which both these guys can do, you're not defending much.
You talk about Klingberg, like, dude, that pair, like, holy moly, whatever. Oh my gosh, revival story.
Surprise. Yeah.
Like, just career ending. Like, it looked like it was over. What terrific defenseman in Dallas. One of the best in the league for, like, I don't know, 5 years, it felt like. One of the best offensive defensemen, I should say. Goes to Toronto, has, it looked like
2 games.
2 games, and talking to a Leafs fan here. And it just looks like his career's over. And then, like, he goes away. I think it was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and then gets the surgery that he needs, feels good, wants to make a return. Who knows if he's even going to make an impact? Oilers take a chance on him, and now he's playing quality minutes in the Stanley Cup final. Like, what a story for him. He has been unreal. When you watch his actual skating and just his I want to say because it was a hip injury, so I just want to say when he turns, it doesn't look like he had a hip surgery or anything like that. It just looks like he's in a normal prime of his career kind of feeling. I don't know. That's the way I felt with him watching him. So it's a cool story with Klingberg right now.
I think the poster boy for that, and we've already mentioned him, Corey Perry is the ultimate 2 careers in 1 player, right? At least in terms of active guys. We saw him have a 50-goal season, right? We've seen 2 careers out of Corey Perry. He's now a bottom 6 guy, and he's never had wheels, right? And it's incredible how he's been able to stick around. And I wonder if guys like Kasperi Kapanen, who you can say the same thing right now. This is a guy who had top six aspirations, 20-plus goal scorer in Toronto, bounces around a bunch of places, has a pretty good season in Pittsburgh at one point. He's being asked to do something totally different now. He's not being asked to be the Kasperi Kapanen of old. John Klingberg, same idea there. Even Victor Arvidsson was a guy who was scoring 60-plus points with LA a couple years ago, right? These are all guys who had to
score 40 goals.
Right? Listen, man, I'm sure he prefers that than sitting at home with the Sabres, right? Right? Wow. So I do wonder about the effects that being able to look at Corey Perry has on those guys. Matthias Janmark was a highly touted prospect for Detroit and Dallas. They can all look to Corey Perry and say, man, if that guy did it, I should at least try. And try they have.
Is Jeff Skinner the Steven Stamkos of 2020 for the Edmonton Oilers? Pots in 1 goal, sits in the presser, goes, that's all I need to do, boys. I got 1 job. I'll score 1 goal, take off for the rest of the year.
Man. He would love that. Dude loves to smile. He would not take that smile off his face.
He's a happy guy. You're right.
Stammer, playoff performer up to that point.
Listen, look at the goals per game. Jeff Skinner in the playoffs. Well, 33%. I know.
Greatest all time.
50. He's just played the 2.
He played game 1. He didn't play game 1.
He didn't play game 1. I thought he snuck in. I thought he snuck in three games, but listen, gotta be in the top. One of the depth guys you haven't, I know we're going all over the place. We'll switch up in a second. I want to give Vasily Podkolzin, another top 10 guy.
Oh, yeah.
Drafted by Vancouver.
Remade his game.
I
10th
watched him
overall.
play,
Yeah.
10th overall. I watched him play, and I'm like, I should not be focusing my energy on this guy on the ice. He's fast. He's aggressive. He is great, walking the line. He's not a defenseman, but just in the offensive zone, he's good with the puck. 5 hits, and then Evander Kane 9 hits. That one huge one on Ekblad to get the crowd on his feet. My God, Ekblad's not a small guy.
No, he took the Zach Hyman role and was like, yeah, I'm gonna be this guy right now. Like, you know what, Zach Hyman was that guy for us, and he was so physical, and you know, Kane was like, I have to be the guy. I have to be physical. I have to step up my game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did you guys see on the I think it was a broadcast that brought this up. I think it was actually Gene, like a couple of years ago I think it was 2022. Matthew Tkachuk's still on Calgary, and he brings up the money sign to Evander Kane, like in the playoffs. And ever since that moment, like Evander Kane's just like bodied Matthew Tkachuk every time that he plays him. Like it's ridiculous. So he sees Matthew Tkachuk and he just sees red. That's all he sees.
Yeah.
Just goes out there and kills him.
Matthew Tkachuk, I think it's a different series if he's healthy too, just to kind of give him flowers. He doesn't look like himself by any stretch. Almost looks like Matthew Nyes did in that final couple of games. Not to the same ginger. He's not gingerly skating around. Just doesn't feel like he's the same. And he's an impact player for the Panthers. I'm more than excited for game 2. We can move on.
So you got Oilers tonight. I got Oilers tonight. Who you got?
I think I got Oilers tonight.
Yeah.
Let's go, boys. Clean sweep. Clean sweep.
Clean sweep. Wrap it up.
No.
It's usually not a good sign.
No. When Mando picks something, it's the complete opposite. So, like...
Yeah, I've tended to recommend I think I would like to see this happen as opposed to what I think will happen, because you're right. I've been having pretty bad luck over the past couple months, really.
I know. It's over a year and a half since I've known you.
What might happen? What if we
Mando
just see
slander, man?
Yeah, I'm hosting. I could just shut the pod right off, boys. No.
I saw last year's Stanley Cup final. Like, ask him about that.
Brother, I already told you I got the Oilers series wrong 3 times in a row. So listen.
Yeah, the Oilers are defying all odds. They might just pull a 3-0, lose 3 in a row, win in Game 7. Like we might just see this exact same narrative from last year.
Wow,
the repeat,
crazy.
Just opposite.
That'd be crazy.
Oh boy, I would have my energy would be drained. But for now, we got enough of it.
I will say one thing before we move off of this. If Edmonton does win, I sure hope it's in Edmonton.
I agree.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice. I would like to see that.
Yes.
I would
like to see
So
that.
5 or 7 is where it's going to have to happen. So, yeah, like, Cristian might be right, or I might be right, because I have Oilers in 7.
All right.
I think there's only really, unless Justin or Cristian, you can jump in. There's really just 2 news and notes from the NHL that I think I really want to get to. The one is Marco Sturm. I'm kind of interested in that. New head coach for the Boston Bruins, was the Los Angeles Kings AHL affiliate Ontario Reign coach for the past 3 seasons. 119, 80, and 17 record with that team. He was also the coach of the German national team. And the general manager as well from 2015 to 18. He actually guided Germany to a silver medal in the 2018 Olympics. This was obviously when the NHL players were not attending, so it's a little bit different, but still exciting for that squad. Was included in that infamous Joe Thornton trade. I like this play for the Bruins. He's a pretty established coach. He's the first German and I think only the 5th European coach to be hired in the NHL. I think it's interesting to see a new guy get some fresh opportunity here, rather than bringing in like a Peter Laviolette. I know Mike Sullivan was the conversation before. He wasn't very early on, obviously snatched by the Rangers. And Rick Tocchet. But I like to see this for a team that wants to keep some defensive structure and keep sort of not an internal hire, but a guy who's been in the organization in the past in different capacities. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on this hire, but I kind of liked it for the Bruins, even though I don't like seeing the Bruins have success.
I liked it for the Bruins. You talk about giving guys chances. Dan Muse also got a chance in Pittsburgh. So, like, it's good to see, like, you know, a couple teams actually giving guys their first chance, because usually you'll see like maybe one team like every couple of years give a guy his first chance. It's, hockey's like hockey's definitely like the old man sport where like you just don't trust anyone.
They recycle the same names
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
often.
It's so recycled. Like, you don't really see like a lot of new guys getting chances. So it's a really good to see two first-time head coaches get their chance. Same can be said about general managers. We know that, like, we just saw it with LA. They won't give anyone a chance. They give Ken Holland the job. Islanders, I do like the hire for the Islanders, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just we see it's the same repetitive thing in hockey where it's like we can't give a guy his first chance. We can't do that. So the Boston Bruins that go out on a limb and they give Marco Sturm his first chance. I really like it. Like you said, played for the organization. Probably the biggest moment that anyone's going to remember is the overtime winner in the 2010 Winter Classic against Philadelphia. And you know, from what I've read and what I've heard, like in the last day since the hiring, because I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't really know much about like why he was the hire, like what made him the hire. Defensive structure obviously is good, but also like his understanding on how to develop players is one of the big keys. And they're going to be going into a couple years here where Boston's going to see a lot of turnover in their roster, I think. And that's something that, you know, they really wanted to have a good guy that can develop the players. And I think that's what they found in Marco Sturm, who at the same time, like he wants the best out of his players, obviously. But like at the same time, like he's more focused on like how to make them a better player than just like rag on them 24/7 basically.
I don't have too much analysis other than what you guys have already done on Marco Sturm. Other than I learned that Marco and Nico Sturm, no relation between the Sturms there. That was my research. But no, yeah, it is cool to see new names get a chance, especially two teams that they're looking to turn a page organizationally. I am more curious about the Dan Muse hiring because I think we've gotten like more newsy stuff out of that hiring in terms of like reaction, because he's even more of an unknown than Marco Sturm was, right? So, the Sturm hiring, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how he is with the media. We'll see. He's gonna have to make a name for himself. We'll find out what kind of coach he is. Right now, it's just a lot of presumptions, and I think it is. I had the same thought with Pittsburgh, where it's like the head coach hiring will tell you what direction the team is going in, and I think part of that is why it's not a Rick Tocchet or a Lavio or whoever you mentioned in Boston, because I think the team basically told these candidates, listen, we understand you're a coach who's been with teams that are trying to compete a little sooner. It's not 100%. That's not a guarantee here. We'd love to win next year. That's not the aim. And I think Marco Sturm is a little bit more open to that.
That provides a little bit of stability for them to know that you're probably not going to be fired like midway through the season with a lot of pressure on the team.
Organization and coach have to be on the same page, right? And that's
basically hiring both Sturm and Muse. Like you have to basically give them 2 years, like at the bare minimum. Like maybe they don't get 2 years because like some organizations are just not the brightest in that sense, and we just see so much turnover in NHL head coaches.
Every league. Coaches don't last anywhere anymore.
Ridiculous.
If you're like a coach in any sport and you watch the NBA at all this year, you're scared for your job.
But how insane. Do you? I'm just saying, like, how as a coach, how do you implement a system and get your players to buy in by the time that you are fired? Because it takes time for people to understand like what to do, like, and you're trying to get them to buy in.
Yeah. This is a cop out, but it is such a like team to team basis, because I can say, and Mando, you can talk about this too, is Craig Berube. We did see a very, very quick systematic change implemented fairly well, but he's got so much experience. This team, in terms of the player mix, are pretty veteran. And so maybe that speeds up the process, right? Boston, like you said, there's going to be a player turnover, and we don't know you have to expect a longer timeline. You have to.
You have to, at least in Boston. Now with Pittsburgh again, I don't know much about Dan Muse, and by I don't know much, I don't know anything other than how to spell his name.
Learned his name. Yeah.
Learned his name. Like, do you not think there's could very Stat Muse? That's actually one of my first thoughts. And is this not just can you not just see him being in front of a firing squad for 2 years and then he's just a filler? Like, honestly,
So
Pittsburgh's not going to be in the right direction.
He's a 2-year interim head coach making way for the next guy.
I don't know, man. We've seen it in the past.
Yeah.
We've seen, guys like not Dan Quinn, David Quinn.
To me, yeah.
He's a prime example to me. A college coach comes in and in New York, done.
1 year.
San Jose, you're gone. Like, no chance. Basically, here's a guy to step in and kind of fill a void until we can get the guy that, we want. Now, there were some premium coach hires this offseason that either decided, I don't want to coach again, or I want a year off. Rick Tocchet being example before he lands in Philly. Gerard Gallant's a name that I hadn't heard thrown around a lot. He's gotten the short end of too many sticks, in my opinion. There's some infamous taxi photos of him getting out and going, you're done. Hey, here's a photo of you leaving. I find it a little strange. I know Mitch Love was in the conversation for a while in Pittsburgh, and obviously they didn't.
I like
in that
what
direction.
I've heard about Mitch Love, so it is a little surprising.
You were pitching him. You were pitching him, Cristian. Just weird. I don't know.
It's so weird. I can't remember the guy's last name right now. But I know his first name's Todd. Hershey's head coach. There has to be something wrong. Like he must not interview well, because there's no way that you win as many Calder championships as he does.
Todd Reardon?
Yeah.
Well, because he was head coach in Washington a couple years ago. Yeah, and kind of from having a Caps fan friend, I've heard not great things about him at the NHL level.
And I've heard maybe he just doesn't interview well. Like he just, but like.
I think he's a Shedeur Sanders of the NHL.
I don't know. He gets results. He gets results in the AHL, that's for sure.
That is the conversation with Mitch Love, too, is if you look at that guy's AHL resume, it is 10 out of 10 out of 10. So, I will say this, though, guys. So, let's talk about the Dubas perspective of, this is a Dubas hiring. This is Dubas saying, who is my next kind of Sheldon Keefe in terms of who is a guy that just people haven't heard of, in the sense that we need a fresh face, but who is respected in terms of guys who are in that diamond in the rough tier, right? So there's that. B, I know we're kind of poo-pooing on the hiring a bit as a weird one. Guys, I 100% prefer this than to what the Chicago Blackhawks did this year. Like, I almost think that it was such a bad hiring that people haven't even talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'd rather Dan Muse than Jeff Blashill. You want to talk about lame duck? That's the toughest hire I've seen all offseason.
For a team that has the highest or some of the biggest pressure this offseason.
Oh my god!
It's gonna be.
Guys, we're not seeing Jeff Blashill lead the Chicago Blackhawks to playoff success. I'm sorry.
Well, he was in a similar position in Detroit. Like, look at the roster that he had in Detroit. It's very similar. I remember when, before they hired Ryan Warsofsky in San Jose, that, the Freeds of the world were going, I'm hearing Jeff Blashill's in the mix. I'm going, no, he's not. If he gets hired, I might denounce this team. Yeah. And that is not, okay, there's probably way worse names than Blashill, but there was a lot of options that you probably could have gone with a team that, there's a lot of rumors that Connor Bedard isn't happy. I'm sure he's completely fine, but there's obviously a lot more expectation in Chicago. Pittsburgh doesn't have the same expectation, and neither does Boston. So you can afford to be a little bit more unique. I know you're on a tangent there with Dubas. I know you're jumping into Justin. I want to let Cristian go in at some point here. And
I just wanted to say Kyle Davidson has to be the guy. That has to be.
What's with the Kyles, boys?
Yeah,
come on.
Unreal. Yeah, the Kyle boys. Come on. Literally. Okay. I'll put it this way. Kyle Davidson has done nothing. Nothing. He got lucky with a lot of.
What do you mean? He traded Alex DeBrincat. He traded. He didn't qualify Dylan Strome.
Yeah,
come on.
A lot, right? He's done a lot of decisions. Oh, and then he got lucky with the lottery ball. That's really, all Kyle Davidson. Ooh, that's on Kyle Davidson. Then he made, I don't know, the safest pick of all time with drafting Connor Bedard. I don't know Was that obvious that year? Was he even supposed to go number one? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
So the coaches that he's brought in, I'm trying to think here. Jeremy Colliton,
yeah,
Luke Richardson, Andrew
that was
Sorensen in
absolute.
interim, and Jeff Blashill. 0 for 4, to be honest. Luke Richardson might be the best one, and that doesn't say too much because
And
what
they
he
fired
had
him
some kind of
midway through
yeah,
his second year.
yeah. So you know what I almost wonder, guys? If you're a coach, you want to work with a GM that you enjoy working with. Like, how much of the Kyle Davidson factor actually plays into who he can hire? Because how many people want to work with
That's
Kyle
what I
Davidson?
mean. Like, you don't. I don't think the coaches believe in Kyle Davidson and what he's able to do. Like,
I
that's
kind of
why
I agree. I
That's why
agree.
they got a sexy hire this summer. They could have a sexy hire because they have a lot of picks coming up. They have arguably one of the best prospects in hockey. I'm still gonna say Connor Bedard's a prospect because he's so young still. But listen, it's ridiculous that no one wants to go there in the sense of it's because of Kyle Davidson. It's not because of the talent, because they've proven that they have Frank Nazar on the way. They have Lev Shinov, who was the second overall pick last year. They have the third overall pick this year. They're building a good core. It's just Kyle Davidson is not the best person to work with. And obviously not a lot of free agents want to go there either. And I don't know if it's because of Kyle Davidson, but it just simply is not good enough right now. Kyle Davidson needs to be on the hot seat and needs to be talked about more and more and more. It needs to be fired, honestly, at this point. Because I don't know what I really like. And you go back to his.
I don't know how we got here.
I was ready to say, and that concludes our conversation about Dan Muse and the Pittsburgh. It was me bringing up Blashill because, yeah. No, but I agree, John. I'm in lockstep there.
Like,
yeah.
He got the job in 2022, and ever since then he's just made terrible move after terrible move, and just got lucky with a draft pick in the terms of Connor Bedard. Made one good trade. Got rid of Kirby Dach to Montreal. That was friggin' dumb by Kent Hughes. The only dumb.
And that's still to me that's still the third. Yeah. I was gonna say that's the third dumbest move he made between not qualifying Dylan Strome, trading DeBrincat, or the Kirby Dach trade. That's 3 on that list, right? Like,
no, that's a good. That's a good trade because you get Frank Nazar out of it. Like you get Frank Nazar, but like the just.
The most damning thing is they have not created. What is the Chicago Blackhawks identity right now? Zero.
Nothing. There's nothing.
It's a collection of players that happen to wear the same jersey.
I think you're trying to force the culture on Connor Bedard hey, here's the culture. But you have the pieces, and Chicago 25 years ago was probably a city that you can say, maybe it's the culture that was there. The losing is the reason that teams or players or coaches coaches or players don't want to go there. But they've created a culture, and it was there for a while. And obviously you can't keep a culture there for long. And you know what? I'm going to take that back. You can absolutely keep a culture there for long. You just find the guys that would want to buy in. Yeah. I'm immediately going to retract that statement. Even if the players are gone, you can build that culture and hold on to it and just kind of pass it down. You see Corey Perry comes in and he's developing and helping that culture in Edmonton, and look where they're at, like you were talking about earlier. So it all does point, you just start removing the layers of why players or coaches don't want to go there. And it does seem like it's one string that we keep pulling in Kyle Davidson, kind of setting that franchise in that direction.
2021. Okay. What has Kyle Davidson done since 2021?
Like I said, no identity for this team right now. And I hate to always force the comparison, but to me, it's like you have to compare them to San Jose. And to me, like you said, Mando, where it's like Connor Bedard forcing a culture onto Connor Bedard. Has San Jose forced the culture onto Macklin Celebrini, William Eklund, and Will Smith, or have those guys kind of dictated the culture?
Yeah, right? I'd say that.
Not only has he done the not qualifying Dylan Strome, trading Alex DeBrincat for Kevin Korinski, 7th overall, failing on that pick, whatever. Not only did he do that, he forced Jonathan Toews out. He forced Patrick Kane to move on, traded Patrick Kane away. The 2 culture guys that represent the Chicago Blackhawks through and through didn't let Jonathan Toews maybe mentor Connor Bedard at all. Like, what is he done? He's ripped it down. He wanted to rip it down because honestly, it was time to rip it down. Sure, I understand that, but he has not laid any foundation to build it back up. Like, none at all. There has been no culture, like you guys said.
It just feels like the foundation is uneven. He's put some foundation in some spots, but then if you take a couple steps, all of a sudden you might trip because the foundation wasn't laid properly. Like, it just feels like very uneven foundation. And it doesn't feel like everyone's on the same page. Like, I will go back to collection of players who happen to wear the same jersey, not a team right now. So
I don't understand how he says
that now. Does that now conclude our Dan Muse conversation?
Well, I got one more thought here.
Okay.
If a decision has to, if a decision has to, well, if a decision has to be made, you're advocating for him getting fired, Justin. The draft's coming up, and I know they have the 3rd pick. But it is a like you can miss. I think you still can miss at 3.
Please bring it up, Judd. Please bring this up.
You guys see this?
I know what you're going to bring up.
Ridiculous, okay?
Yeah, this is the cherry. Ridiculous. This is the cherry on top.
Give it to me. I don't know what you're going to get to here.
How the hell do you
Can we come? Okay. Can I know what you're going to bring up, Judd, and I'm not going to take it from you. I'm just going to bring up this other thing as part of it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
James, just bring. If you know the number for James Higgins, can you also bring up that in comparison? Do you know what I'm talking about with Higgins or no?
Are you talking about his draft number where he's projected to go?
No, I'm talking about how many teams he's spoken to or is going to speak to.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number of James.
I think Cam Robinson put this out. I believe he has talked to or is planning to speak to up to, I think, 16 teams.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, Michael Misa, the projected top 3 overall pick, has 4 dinners scheduled. And not because he's reached out to them. They've reached out to him. He has a dinner scheduled with the Islanders, with the Sharks, with the Utah Mammoth now, and with Nashville. Guess who didn't reach out to him? The Chicago freaking Blackhawks. Are you freaking stupid? Like, what? I know, don't overreact to not going out for dinner, but that's just a cherry on top of everything that Kyle Davidson has failed at so far at being the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks. It is ridiculous. Like I said,
it's definitely important.
Not trading Patrick Kane, letting go of Jonathan Toews, trading Alex DeBrincat, not a qualifying offer on Dylan Strome. It is just outrageous. Putting everything on Connor Bedard. No culture in the Chicago Blackhawks. Getting lucky on a lottery ball pick that you went from 6 to 1 on that odd. It is ridiculous that Kyle Davidson still has a job. I'm sorry. It just is.
That's the thing is like,
damn Muse chat.
If you're gonna have to make the decision, you're gonna have to at this point you'd have to make the decision before the draft actually happens, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. If they're not booking.
You don't let a GM
pick.
You don't let a GM hire a coach 2 weeks ago or whatever it was.
There's no way.
How do you not take the guy out to dinner?
You think he's gonna be gone top 2, but that's not even an excuse.
It's definitely a possibility, bro.
It's probably a high possibility. But it still doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. No, I agree.
You take the guy out to dinner.
It's a formality. Dinner. Like, we should not there should not be something to be talked about because it's just like so obvious that you do that. It shouldn't even be something to be talked about.
Even if you don't pick the player, it's more like if you interview for a position, for a job interview, and you're like, I have 0 chance at making it. Yeah, it's even just to show like your interview skills, to network. I know it's a team networking with a player, but all of these connections go a long way. And down the road, if Michael Misa, let's say, gets drafted in San Jose, it doesn't work out, they're going to have 1 billion forwards, and they got to ship a guy out, and Chicago might be on his no-trade list. Like, things like that, I know I'm projecting, but you just never know if this kind of thing actually does factor in, right? So, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the difference between Chicago's and San Jose's uprising, and we'll see if it sticks that way for the next couple of years.
It's ridiculous what we're seeing. And
Dan Muse and then Pittsburgh boys. Congrats to Dan Muse. The only other thing for hockey, Justin, I know you feel Yeah, it's Brock Nelson. $7.5 million for 3 years.
I'm sorry. Let's go from one joke to another joke, and that's the Colorado Avalanche. After feeling like they had to make a signing, because if not, this thing just becomes even worse for you guys. You trade Mikko Rantanen, and then you feel like you have to go get Brock Nelson. You give up a massive package to get Brock Nelson, one of the best prospects in Callum Ritchie, who you already saw had NHL games under his belt this year and probably would have been an effective player next year in the NHL. You decide to trade him along with a first-round pick for an aging guy that didn't put up any goals in the playoffs in the first round for you, and then you go and sign him to a 3-year, $7.5 million deal. The issue isn't the $7.5 million that Brock Nelson gets. It's the issue that the Colorado Avalanche have no cap space. And that's the bigger issue here. Because, yes, and you know what? Ever since I put out that video, all I've seen, and if you don't follow me on Instagram at Justin Sports, do so, because you're going to see this. All I've gotten on that video is like, bro, you're so stupid. They can just trade. Okay. Realistically, who are they going to trade? You simply can't go and like, what are you gonna do? Trade Miles Wood and get $2.5 million in cap space? Wow, you're up to $3 million for the year. You're gonna make one.
What's
signing?
the piece that's been on all the? Not all. I've seen him on 2 trade boards. At least one actually I've seen him on. But Martin Necas, the guy that they traded for. There's your trade bait. That's great. That's great asset management.
Why?
So I think the thing there.
Why would you trade Martin Necas? Is the point?
Because his dad came out and said he doesn't really like it that much. That's why.
I don't care who. I don't care what you like.
Yeah, this is
like
what
you're playing with
Nathan
McKinnon.
That's what I mean. Like,
sorry.
The player.
This is Elliot said this on Last 32 Thoughts. When he was in Carolina. And they negotiated their last RFA deal because I believe he signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah, 2 years, $6.1 million.
So Necas basically said, I only want a deal that's going to take me right to free agency. I won't sign for any other term. That's what he told Carolina.
Yeah.
So he might have already had this. It might not have mattered where he was traded unless we're talking about Colorado in the Cup final right now. He might be seeing this through the free agency no matter who he was traded to. But like as Colorado, you have to know that when you make this trade, just like how Carolina needs to know Mikko Rantanen's intentions when you trade for him, right? So
this trade is
it's not great asset management.
It's going to haunt Colorado for the rest of their lives, man. Like Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland, especially. Listen,
you also trade Bo Byram for Casey Middlestat and trade Casey Middlestat for Charlie Coyle, and that's not great asset management either.
It's wonderful asset management. You might as well just go trade for Bo Byram back this summer. Why not bring him back?
Too bad you don't have anything to trade for him now.
Exactly. Oh wait, no. You have so many. You have a lot of picks coming up, don't you? Oh wait, no.
This is like
you only have 2 picks, and one is in the 5th, and one is in the friggin' 7th round.
Remember when Edmonton turned Jordan Eberle into Ryan Strome, into Ryan Spooner, into a guy no longer in the league?
Yeah.
That's like Bowen Byram into Casey Middlestat into Charlie Coyle. It's not the same thing because I think Charlie Coyle will be a factor for them on a third line. Like I think a lot of teams want Charlie Coyle, but it's the same. You're repeating the same mistakes.
How does Martin Necas not want to play with Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Gabe Landeskog?
Potentially because he likes money.
Yeah, potentially.
That's it.
But they have money next year. That's the thing. They have money next year.
Well, everyone is.
Potentially because Colorado doesn't like giving out money.
Too. That's
Well, Colorado's going to have to give out money to Cale Makar, or else they're going to have to trade him as well. So.
Well, but this is the thing, because we basically, since the Mikko Rantanen thing, we know that they are prepared to give money to Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and potentially not anybody else in terms of huge, big money. It just gives you more questions about why they did what they did this whole year.
This is the sweetener on top.
Yeah, Brock. Yeah.
You talk no.
This concludes our Brock Nelson conversation. The same thing.
On top of this, the sweetener on top of this is when you put Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson's new AAVs together.
Yeah.
Did you see what that equals out to, guys?
The number it's a number that starts with M, ends with N, has a lot of letters in between. It's Finnish.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. 12.75.
Rhymes with Schmiko Schmantanen.
Yeah. You could have. Who would you rather, Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle or Mikko Rantanen?
That's
Bowen
pretty
Byram.
obvious. Yeah, sir.
No.
Bowen Byram.
No,
Cal
yeah, no.
Ritchie.
And you would have had Callum Ritchie as well.
Yeah.
And
No,
you-
I know
and
what
your
my
first
answer
round
would be. So my Brock Nelson contract analysis is, yeah, that's interesting. I am curious to see what that means for
It's a
John
good
Tavares
second
at the
line
center
center.
of the
It's a
hockey
good-
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good
yeah. You know
second
what?
line center.
Listen, to me, that's like the Pavelski deal in Dallas that he signed 7x3, right? You do a little bit of cap inflation, 7.5x3. I don't think Brock Nelson is Joe Pavelski. I think we understand that, but I think Brock Nelson is a consistent 30 goal scorer who will probably score 30 goals next year. And I agree with the optics would have been god awful had they not been able to retain him. And I think it's a fair number. Yeah, I am going to bring us to the center of the hockey universe for the shortest minute here and say, once again, John Tavares, you see that deal. If John Tavares likes money, and I don't blame him if he does, he can go out and get that deal. He can probably get one better. So I think in the conversations we have right now, just about him taking a discount, just let it be known, like he
is going to be the Yanni Gord deal. It's not going to be that low of an AAV, but it's going to be like we're paying you until we're 42 years old, and then like we're just going to lower the AAV and pay you.
That was a crazy deal.
So I don't know. It's just another one.
Toronto.
I don't know if I love it, but it's probably the only path to keeping him. So
John Tavares has earned over $100 million in his career. Brock Nelson has not. So that's the whole difference of why we're looking at it.
John
like
Tavares
Brock Nelson deserves his money. Yeah, understandable. It's a different conversation. But listen, look at the team.
Nelson.
That's no question. That's not even a conversation piece. But
then
you have to look at the team, and Toronto hasn't made any noise. Colorado has. It's been proven. So I think you have to save some money.
The AAV and give them like 4.5 for 6 years. You're not happy with that?
Well, considering the Caps direction, then I would be less concerned.
Less concerned is a good way to put it, but then you are locked into the player in terms of like, could you imagine if like 4 years from now we're still talking about the Leafs having not made a conference final, and then John Tavares has a full no move clause in the back half of this long ass contract, and we still can't get off of him, and we're still locked into some of the same players? I don't like that.
Not Joe Pavelski, Logan Couture, where he's just like something happens where he gets injured and they have to move to LTIR, and bam,
I think that's
$1.5 million.
But you cannot, you can't in your right mind. Like I will tell you right now, Brendan Pridham is not counting on that. You cannot count on that. That is a situation that just happens. That's like Jake Muzzin disappearing because brother's back gave out. Like you can't count on that. Right. That's a way to end up in cap hell. Sorry, the Leaf corner ends there. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. And congratulations, Brock Nelson, 3 years, $7.5 million. We got to talk about the signing of the white whale, Ron Rodgers, in Steeler land. Pittsburgh signs him 1 year. I don't think has the money come out? I haven't actually seen the money for this because it's still like it's pending a physical. No, who cares? This was inevitable. This was inevitable. He's making money. This was inevitable from day one. I think basically from him, he just wanted to wait till the draft was over to see where all the chips landed.
Wait till the schedule release was out.
That's possible too. That's honestly fair.
Well, like honestly, like if he signs before the schedule releases out, like like there's a couple more primetime games for him, and that there might be a trip over to Europe and stuff like that. I think
now he can plan out his appearances on the Pat McAfee show a bit better.
Exactly.
Priorities, guys. Priorities.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to do OTAs. We saw that last year with the Jets. He didn't want to do that. Like the funniest part about this whole thing is like Steelers fans can now like breathe because they had to convince themselves for like since March, basically 2 days after he didn't resign after free agency starts. Yeah, so Mason Rudolph, he might be the number one guy this year. Like he's actually pretty decent,
Hey, listen, what about Skylar Thompson? What about
Hey man,
Will Howard?
Skylar Thompson was a little something in that one playoff game I watched the Dolphins play. Yeah.
But like
I recognize that name.
Yeah. He's a guy.
You had to convince yourself if you're a Steelers fan. Oh, well, Mason Rudolph might be the number one guy. Will Howard could be fun this year. Now you don't. Now you get a bump in Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know. Aaron Rodgers might just fall off the face of the earth this year. It might be. I don't think he's going to play good. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I think he might. You know what? I have a fan who's a Green Bay Packers fan, and he knows his stuff. And he convinced me. He was like, you know what? I think Aaron Rodgers is being undersold, and obviously what you watched in New York, like it was fine last year. Actually, I think he was better than a lot of people gave him credit for. It just didn't work out. The year prior, obviously, didn't play. I think under Mike Tomlin, Mike Tomlin obviously has really good luck with his receivers, especially diva receivers. But, you have DK Metcalf there. Obviously, no more George Pickens. I think what we might see a last hurrah from Aaron Rodgers. I'd be really curious to see if Mike Tomlin can continue his streak of 500 or above with the team assembled in front of him. Still has his TJ Watts, still has some of the big name guys there. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to carry them to the promised land by any stretch. I don't think he's given enough roster around him to do that, but it's exciting. It's going to sell tickets in Pittsburgh, and I think Mike Tomlin's going to try and stabilize the locker room there as best as possible. They got rid of George Pickens. That would have been a locker room for the ages, and now we won't see that, unfortunately. I think he's going to do better than people give Aaron Rodgers credit for.
Is this Mike Tomlin back against the wall now then, right? Like, this is it. Like, he has to keep the streak alive or no? Okay, he's got enough grace. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He's definitely, like, if I guess if you're Bill Belichick and get fired, like, you might as well just count everyone to get fired in the NFL. But, like, you make the playoffs that many years in a row, you never had a losing record. Like, if you have one losing record, I don't think someone should, like, go, oh my gosh, Tomlin doesn't have it. Well, he has a 42-year-old quarterback that didn't show up till after OTA started and didn't really put in the work this offseason, become a, he didn't put in the work as in didn't train hard, took a lot of trips, he did do that, to have a good season.
He's on the Ovechkin regiment, but the question is, can he play like Ovechkin did?
That's exactly what we're talking about here.
If they were to get rid of Mike Tomlin, it's kind of the omission, or it's the admission that Pittsburgh's finally going to make changes, because they've been a team where if you've been to Pittsburgh, they're a football town. Like, they love the Steelers. Sure. I love how Pittsburgh in general has taken on the black and yellow and made that their moniker for every team. Yeah. I think that's cool. Not a lot of cities, if any city, really does that. So they really buy into their sports teams, and they've just been. We get excited for Mike Tomlin because he has kept that streak alive. But how many of those seasons were like 9-8, 10-7? Like, it's great. It's
the
awesome.
Minnesota Wild of the NFL, Mando.
They're the Minnesota Wild of the NFL, and I just of late, obviously they've won in the past. They've been successful the past 5-6 years. Like, no one's counting on the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Yeah, they're not making any runs now. Yeah, you look at some of the QBs they had, the Kenny Pickett's of the world and everything, but and the Russell Wilson Justin Fields tandem. Eventually, I think you have to move on from the narrative that it's okay to maybe sneak into a wild card spot. And this is kind of the last, let's see what this looks like. And then I think you kind of have to look in the mirror and go, like, when are we actually going to compete again in Pittsburgh, which is a football city, I'd like to think.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. All right. That does it for
Aaron
Rodgers talk.
Yeah, he's signed. That's we'll see how it goes. Do you want to talk about PWHL, Justin?
Yeah, I do.
All right, you bring this up because I don't know what you're talking about here. You got a rule for us.
Cristian knows exactly what I'm talking about. How do you know what I'm talking about?
How do I not know? I have a 9 to 5. I have no time to pay attention to everything, Justin. I don't know what's going on here. What do you got for me?
Well, okay. So in the PWHL, they have. Well, we know that they were doing expansion. Okay, so they expanded
I do know that.
2 teams, Seattle and Vancouver. Okay. Now, you can then the PWHL announced the rules for the expansion. And this is where it's super dumb. It's the dumbest rule I think I've ever heard. You could only protect 3 players from your team.
That is weird. I actually did hear that. That's weird.
So you can't protect a full lineup or your full starting lineup. And you can only protect a fourth player after 2 players have been selected from your team. So, both Seattle and Vancouver have elite starting lineups. Like it's ridiculous. Vancouver got Sarah Nurse, they got Sophie Jocks, and I'm trying to remember the
Mashmeyer.
Yes, Mashmeyer, and the other defenseman of the year from the Frost. I forget her name at the moment. But yes, they've loaded up, and so like Seattle, obviously.
Seattle's got Hillary Knight, who's like in the twilight, but still like a
big name,
awesome ad.
Yes, a huge ad for them, and especially in their like that one makes sense for them to bring her back to Seattle, considering that they're trying to kickstart a new franchise there. But overall, this has to be the dumbest rule ever because like you can't even protect more than 3 players. And like how?
Yeah. Like Toronto just lost one of the most recognizable players in the league, not because of anything other than we don't have enough protection slots here.
Better players than her. So.
Part of it as well. So the way that they lost her, because the expansion draft hasn't happened yet, she has signed with Seattle because basically the PWHL teams kind of put out their protection list. Here were the 3 players we're protecting. And now there's a 5-day exclusive negotiation window for all of the unprotected players to negotiate a deal with either Seattle or Vancouver.
Yeah.
So Sarah signing with Vancouver does count as a pick from the Scepters. And I think you can only take 2 or 3 players from each team. Two from each team. So Nurse signing with Seattle means that Toronto can only lose 1 more player to expansion. But yeah, it's just we're gonna have to see how it all turns out.
Once you lose your 2, you can protect a 4. So
Montreal
protected Aaron Ambrose yesterday, and then
as their 4.
Then they lose Jen Gardner to Vancouver again as their 5th player or 3rd.
Crazy.
On
so yeah, we're gonna have to see like how it all turns out. But me and Joe were talking about it. There's a decent chance that Seattle and Vancouver open preseason odds as the favorites, as expansion teams.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't happen. To be honest, that should not happen. It's a little disrespectful to the 6 original teams of the PWHL.
Sorry, you had Claire Thompson. That was the other one. Claire Thompson. So basically, Minnesota's top 2 defensemen gone. Or defensewomen gone. Like
we're gonna like I said, we have to see how it all shakes out because I don't know. Maybe there is something we're missing here. Let's not pretend that we're fully ingrained in the league in that sense. But I'm very curious to see what the odds are like to start the season because it's shaping up to be very interesting at the least. Like,
I was gonna jump in. I'm glad you kind of left it on that point, Cristian, in terms of like we don't really know for sure because I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate. I want to look at the NHL and you look at Seattle coming in, you look at Vegas coming in, technically Utah. I don't really count Utah because it wasn't an expansion. They allowed essentially 8 skaters, 9 skaters. And so that's a little bit better, but the NHL has the wherewithal, it has the fandom to have a little bit more grace for hopefully surviving in new markets. People know the NHL. People know what the league is about. And so when you open up in Vegas, it's new. It was the first franchise to go there from a big league perspective. So yeah, there's still some there's not clarity, but it's like it's the NHL teams. You're going to get NHL caliber players.
Yeah.
In the PWHL, you can say, okay, yeah, there's been sellout crowds, and everyone's so jazzed up about the sellout crowds for like these series outside of the main 6 markets. But we really don't know how these teams are going to perform in Seattle and Vancouver. Very smart move. We talked about it earlier, making a rivalry right off the bat. That's incredible. You just don't know if you expand and there's new players coming in and all the good players are staying with their original franchises. And these teams are going, all right, well, you want us to expand into it's still a new league. It's year 3. And we don't know if this is going to survive if you're not going to have the player pool Now, we had Kyle Cushman on. He did say that there should be enough players to kind of fill out a roster, and and I love that. I love the PWHL's growth. It's awesome. I still think it should be looked at differently in a sense of it's still new, and you have to try and give a lot more resource to the
It's
new
more
teams
fragile
coming
than
in.
an NHL. Yeah, like
Fragile is a
No,
great
that's
word.
fair.
Like, also,
That's a good way to put it. I think there's a balance to be struck.
There's a
and
balance.
maybe the balance does have to lean a little bit more in the team's favors, the expansion team's favors. But just the perception that I've seen so far is that the balance is a little too far towards the expansion teams.
That's
But
valid.
maybe this is early. Maybe it ends up correcting itself by the start of the season, by early returns. I don't know. I get it, man. Though I think you laid it out good, though. Yeah,
it does suck though. It does suck though. I totally understand if you're looking at like, yeah, okay, Sarah Nurse. So I don't know if she had the greatest season this year in Toronto, right?
She's not like. It was definitely expected for her not to be to be left unprotected because she wasn't.
Yeah,
great.
But
was like,
you're right though in terms of like big name, Cristian. Like she's been a name in the game. She's an advocate, and if like players are like or fans are like, oh, Sarah Nurse just got poached, you're still thinking like that sucks. Like just because of a rule wasn't because she didn't love it here. I assume so. And I hear Hillary Knights, your Sophie Jacques, like great player. It is fair, Justin. So maybe more than 3. I'm with you.
Like I'm saying, like you should at least been
protected.
Able to protect your 5.
Like
your
5, yeah.
Your 5.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're not like in the NHL. We talk about expansion. The last 2, like Seattle and Vegas, like those 2 teams, they only were allowed to pick 1 player from each team. They weren't able to go poach like a couple players from each team.
It is different because there's 30 teams versus
yeah. There's more teams to pick from in terms of players. So it makes sense, but like at least let them protect like a full starting lineup. Like 3 players just
I agree.
Like
right.
A little bit. It's a little bit too less of a pool or too small of a pool for me.
Yeah.
Just because, like you can't even protect like your full starting lineup. Like that's
to think that the 5 skaters that go out there for the start of a season and they get announced to the fans, one of those players on every team at least is gone. That puts it in perspective. I feel, yeah. But we'll see.
That's fair.
See. Good conversation to revisit closer to the start of the season.
Agreed. It'll be fun to watch these new teams kind of come into fold.
I can't wait to see branding. You know me, fellas. I can't wait to see what these jerseys look like. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you're a big brand guy. They're going to be fun. I'm excited just for the announcement. Probably not.
They're probably just gonna
but still, even just the branding though, even without a team name,
I'd be really disappointed. Yeah, still the colors. I'd be really disappointed.
You're trying to sell jerseys, right? If you're going to try and sell jerseys, let's have 1 year of just PWHL Vancouver. The next season, you introduce new jerseys. That's more money coming in, boys.
Marketing strategy, boy.
John Chidley Hill would be proud of us, boys. Come on now. Shout out JCH there. Just wrapping up here. I know we get a little longer than we anticipated, but RBC Canadian Open kicked off yesterday, TPC Toronto. Some Canadians were in the fold early. I was watching, I checked in, and I think through 14 holes, Nick Taylor was tied for first place. Yeah. Not so much anymore. Going into today, Taylor Pendrith was the top-rated Canadian. I believe he was 4 or 5 under, tied for 9th place. I'm just checking in now to see how things have kind of played out, but I want to dial in. I haven't gotten a chance to watch any of it, but I've kind of focused on it. Any picks for this tournament as we wrap up the pod? I don't know if Cristian or Justin, you have any thoughts on this at all?
Fellas, I just want to talk about Rory. The mention of the Maple Leafs. That's all I want to talk about here. I just want to bring up his quote of if I can win the Masters, the Leafs can win the Cup. As a golf casual, I have no idea where Rory is on the leaderboard right now. I am ready to be dialed in on Rory. He might not even, who knows if he even makes the cut. I just took a gentle scroll on the leaderboard and didn't see his name, so don't know how it's going.
He's tied for 118th right now.
Let's go, Rory.
Atta boy.
Let's go. Yeah, I need a Rory appearance at Scotiabank at some point next season. So there is my pick, fellas, or a Canadian. Give me another Nick Taylor moment. Other than that, I'll just be watching a watch. It's always good to turn on some golf. You know what? I will tune in this weekend because there is
Yeah.
no F1. So this will be my substitute. Nothing better than on a Sunday morning turning on something to tune into sports wise. So it will definitely be some Canadian Open.
There's also no NBA or NHL on Saturday at all, so which is kind of
Okay.
wild,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there you go. You got the
NBA
whole
should have been
day.
Saturday, but that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna just go with our Canadian Taylor Pendrith. I'm gonna have to do it. He was under 5 yesterday. Shot under 5. He was in the lead when he went into the clubhouse. Now the afternoon kind of played a little bit differently. He's tied for 13th, so like a lot of the guys like just shot exceptionally well in the afternoon. I don't know if it was like the greens or whatever, but
I think it was like a little rainy in the morning. I think the greens in the fairway probably stuck a little bit more, and it was a little faster in the afternoon, so you were able to bomb the ball. This is just like looking at the weather because I think it was a little
no, this is golf expert.
rainy in the morning.
This is golf expert.
How you doing?
Random.
I was at the RBC Canadian Open last year, and I know everything about golf now.
Yeah,
Couldn't tell
Amanda,
you.
what's your pick, brother?
Two things. So Shane Lowry's my pick. I don't know why. I just he's played pretty decently. His not his fellow countryman technically, but his really
boys.
Shane Lowry, his good buddy Rory
Hey man, I've got
McIlroy.
pictures of Shane Lowry's golf bag on my camera from when we went to Florida Jet. Okay,
Yes,
I love me some Shane Lowry. All right,
Shane Lowry. There you go, Cristian.
Okay, come on.
His good buddy Rory won the Masters this year. RBC Canadian Open's not quite up to the same standard. I don't think you get any color jacket when you win. I think you get a Swift handshake and whatever money or whatever pool they get for winning.
$9.8 million.
Is that the purse?
Yeah,
Is that the purse? I like it.
That'll do all right. You can buy a couple jackets with that.
Couple jackets there, maybe some leather. So Shane Lowry's my pick for whatever reason.
Okay.
Now, just quickly, I want to shout out Aaron Krolnick and Carlo Koliakovo on First Up. They did an interview with Alex Noren from Sweden sometime this week at TBC Toronto. And they did a clip of it and put it out for promotion throughout my shift last night when I was working the NBA Finals, and they were interviewing Noren. They go like, "Oh, you're a Swedish guy. Did you see William Nylander and Alex Nylander won a tournament because they did like an NHL tournament?" Yeah, I won. Didn't they play the Panthers and lose? And they're going, okay, so this guy focuses. This guy pays attention. And this guy goes, it's probably not a good thing that William Nylander won a golf tournament of all things, eh? And I'm like, this guy. And the Aaron and Carlo go, you know what to do. You know what you're saying on Toronto Sports.
He's got some Brad Marchand in him here, brother. Oh my god.
He's a Swedish guy roasting his fellow countrymen.
Can we get this guy to play in the fourth line maybe? I don't know. I like the pat. Listen, he's throwing it in the wrong direction, but he's got some piss and vinegar to him here. All right.
It seems that way. Now he's tied for 50th. So you know what, Alex Noren? Okay. Relax. No, I'm kidding.
Take that, brother. Man, I've got one more thing on that note.
Sure.
Can you confirm or deny rumors that I heard yesterday of a O-Dog 62 or 64 round that he shot or something?
So apparently they had Scott Lawton on Overdrive a couple days ago, and he confirmed because Scott Lawton was shooting with O-Dog, and he confirmed the 64. I think they had to track their own scores, but apparently he did shoot a 64 on whatever.
I believe Scott Lawton. I think that is a good enough source for me. All right.
Now,
all right.
I believe so. That was the final.
Shot better than
it's unreal.
A fair number of guys maybe in the field this weekend. All right, O-Dog. All right.
Wow.
Still got it.
A match coming up. It's like...
Yeah, I saw an ad for this. Dude, that ad is sick. Oh my god. Looks like a UFC ad or something. I love that. It's Duthie and Gallagher.
Yeah, versus O-Dog.
O-Dog and Naz. I'm pumped, guys. Let's go.
So if he's shooting 64, I don't know. I might not have a chance.
What would What would the Sportsnet equivalent be? Elliott and who versus Bukowskis and who? Or would it be like Bieksa? It would probably like be like Bieksa and
Bieksa out there.
Bieksa probably.
yeah.
But Elliott would probably be in there for the Duffies.
Who would they bring as their player? I don't know.
They bring as their player?
Who's like Elliott's?
Man,
Elliott would bring Jake Wallman because he always loves to shout him out for going to the same high school as him.
I think
That's what Elliott's pick would be.
You gotta bring out Brad Marchand, like
That's Brad X's pick.
And they just like scrap because they end up talking about 2011 and
Exactly.
That's okay. We figured it out.
He's like, hey, Kevin, you're up to the teeth. They're like on the ground throwing elbows.
Kevin, this is great. The fans they're rioting here, Kevin.
Unbelievable.
All right.
Anything?
Let's get it booked, fellas. Let's get it booked.
Yeah, I think that's it for today. Jam-packed week ahead. Finally back with both the NHL and NBA. Rest of the RBC Canadian Open. We'll come back to you with the Hockey Pod in a couple of days to recap Game 2. And we'll see the rest of the playoffs play out and any news and notes that come about it. So like, subscribe, leave stars, do whatever you got to do to support us. Thank you for listening. Another episode, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.